the the scene that is set tonight for the Werewolf the Apocalypse LARP project. New Sarum docks, where a French freighter that set out from the west coast of the country to the American East Coast has pulled in. And it's not the largest freight ship, and it's not carrying necessarily most interesting cargo, but it provided Mutt an interesting travel opportunity, a way to get back home. The smells, as the gangway has finally been stretched, is finally stretching out from the ship to the dock, or ship to shore. He finds himself running down. There's a man yelling in the background. For anyone in the know, the captain of this particular ship, yelling something in French, probably, "Where'd that damn dog go to?" He runs down the gangway, hits the docks area, taking in the scents, reacquainting himself with this country, this landmass that he hasn't seen, smelled, walked on for nearly 3 years, not since he was 2. Just kind of stops for a moment after running for a good 4 or 5, maybe even 6, 8, 10 blocks equivalent in this area. And the first thing that goes through his mind is American food. So he kind of follows his nose, kind of heads south. He's not quite sure exactly where he is. This is not New York. Doesn't smell like New York. It smells like New England. So he heads on south, kind of catching a familiar scent. Almost swears it smells of Jersey industrial parks, but there's something that's a bit off. And so he heads down around the train yard, at more or less the edge of the train yard, one can say. And after some time, he finds himself crossing the edge of the train yard. He can hear people milling about, obviously working, people moving boxes, probably. That's it, just boxes. Doesn't really matter what's in it. Some things could smell interesting. He kind of investigates. Overhears a couple of men talking. And He kind of takes a little bit lower stance as he saunters across the train yard, keeping aware and alert, looking back and forth. After all, look both ways. That's what his that's what his mother would have told him. I'm sure. Um, as he gets closer and closer, his ears perk up. His nose damn near goes on point, and the only thing he can think is chili dog. So he kind of takes a little bit lower position, crawls underneath a couple of more or less still cars, like dead metal giants, and tries to get closer to the smell of food. He knows this. He knows this smell. This is going to be delightful. Sure enough, the men are distracted enough. There seems to be a rather large brown bag filled with the things. Two won't be missed. The side of it is split open. It's kind of laying open like this, and while they're distracted getting up for just a minute, he just kind of comes on in, snatches two in his mouth, and then runs off before anyone can notice. And when he gets to an area that's more or less safe, he sets the chili dogs down. It's been a while since he's done this, but he's used to unwrapping food, so he just kind of drags his paw around on one side, finds the opening, and then with his muzzle just kind of unrolls it and just proceeds to devour both of the tasty bits of victuals, savoring every last bit of flavor in it. When he finishes his meal, he kind of sits out a little bit. He's quite thirsty. It's been a long enough to where he could really go for some fresh water, something that tastes like America, whatever America is, someplace. He catches some familiar, well, half familiar smells anyway. Definitely wilderness, definitely rural on the wind. The breeze blowing inland a bit, given that he's more or less on the coast. He begins to head in the direction of the scented wilderness, maybe even fresh water. That would be absolutely delightful for his wolf mind. And he begins to make his way unknowingly toward the National Park of New Sarum.
Dutch has been off the grid for a little bit. Today he managed to just end up taking the time to end up grabbing himself some beer. He's been running out ever since. It's been 3 days, and 12-pack can only last you so long. So at this point, he is coming back from the beer store and kind of watching the water. Keeps an eye on it because, quite frankly, he misses it. I know it's only been a couple of days, he says to himself. He'd much rather be in his boat right now. He would just appreciate a light breeze, just let the current take him, and nothing but the little puttering of that little engine. He almost snaps back to it when he realizes they still got a bit of a hike to end up taking. Hasn't really changed out of his orange. Just had a shower, realized he was low on beer. Figured, well, the folks that are kind enough to put me up, I'm not going to ask them to keep paying for my, well, beverage privileges. So he continues to end up here. I'm walking down. He catches something out of the corner of his eye. Looks like some kind of scraggly thing on 4 legs.
Indeed, that is a scraggly thing on 4 legs. A bit short. You're actually surprised that you noticed actually a healthy-looking rabbit. And as you notice that rabbit, you can make a perception alertness. We'll just call it standard. If you wish, of course.
Of course. I'm just double checking my stats right now. Still learning the character sheet, quite frankly. And I have other characters that have very similar stuff, so just take it. You said alertness, right?
Yep, perception alertness.
All right. Well, maybe he's just getting old and his eyesight isn't quite where it used to be, but
It's not too
if he catches wind of it.
You see the rabbit. You're though it is within the national park, so you can't hunt, or at least not without special license.
Well, he doesn't carry a rifle when he's going for beer. That's just crazy talk.
Yeah,
He ain't on the water.
God, wouldn't it be great to get yourself a little bite to eat? Because that rabbit sure does look nice and fit and healthy.
Yes, it does.
But at that moment, you hear, not the same type of howl that you might have heard recently.
What the?
If you wish, you can
Go
make intelligence and primal urge roll. Difficulty 8.
There's goddamn dogs. The goddamn dogs.
Oh, that was your roll? Yeah. Goddamn dogs. And
Giving me the heebie-jeebies.
after that initial howl, you hear three other howls. Like there's some spacing, and then you hear 3 or 4 other howls in timed procession. Not immediately. There's space in between it, but there's timing.
Dutch may not have caught it on the first try, but he has just finished his conversation with Slitted Throat. Talked about the greeting howls, and he thinks he could recognize the signs. Is that a kind of a point of indecision? This is going to be hilariously awkward. I'm going to leave it up to a chance die. Plus, he howls, or tries to, and minus he keeps his mouth shut. Okay, he chooses that it might be the better part of discretion to not end up joining this in, particularly if anybody ends up seeing a man trying to howl at the wind at other animals might be just viewed as instigation.
The howl seems to be coming from about 25 yards east, give or take, of where you're at.
Not even all that far. Yeah.
Perception survival? No, but let's just make with survival. Because he's going to move this farm, and that means he's going to spot this, because there's no way he's going to fail a perception roll in lupus form.
I just ended up doing a wit survival of my own, specifically to track.
Oh, good googly moogly. Your wit survival, you lost sight of the rabbit, but you catch sight of something else that's, well, maybe a bit out of place. It's not tracks. It's like let's see, what is it? Disturbances.
Kind of looks around and sees these old leaves from last winter, kind of broken up, fairly recent too, put into the mud. Kind of looking a little closer, following the grass, and realize that the grass has been shifted to one side.
Yep.
Momentum takes it that way.
That's deer shit. Under the leaves.
So yeah, that is nothing new. He just steps over the deer shit, and this isn't even nothing. This is nothing new. He's just kind of taking a look and keeps it moving along. Case of beer under his arm. Where did you go to, buddy? Where did you go to? And I'll make that another tracking.
You do kind of pick up an odd scent.
It's strong enough for him to smell it even in.
There is a breeze from the shore going inland, and you are close to water, and it's a decent breeze, 6 miles an hour. Even through trees, it's rustling the leaves.
Well,
and it's odd that this scent is being carried, along with other things, smell of trees, leaves, plants, flowers, animal droppings.
You are making a vast assumption that he has that good of a sense of smell.
Okay, so it's mainly animal shit.
No, for him it's tracking.
Or beer. You're smelling your own upper lip.
You're gonna let me talk. Dutch at this point, he continues to end up following this. Maybe it's scent on the wind, maybe it's the lapping of water, maybe it's just the little idiosyncrasies that don't quite match up, but he just eventually starts making his way a little closer to the river's edge. And it ends up turning to when he pokes his head out, just kind of looks around. What the hell was making all that racket?
You see, initially it looks like a scraggly city mutt. There's from the little bit of light of the moon, I believe it's actually more of a crescent at the moment. The sky's relatively clear, and you can kind of see something shimmer around its neck. Doesn't seem odd. Except for the fact that at this point, even with a not so good sense of smell, there's definitely an aroma coming off this mutt. As you get closer, though, roll perception primal urge. We'll see if you.
Nope.
Nope.
I roll a lot of good dice. It's just for some odd reason I'm getting like 50% once in every roll I've done this entire week.
Wow.
This has been average for me on like 7, 8, 9, 10 dice.
You don't get any sense odder than this looks like a city Mutt. Are you moving a little closer, like quietly, or?
Oh, no, it's a fucking Mutt. What the hell would
Maybe doing a double take or
sneak up on it?
something, you realize this dog's a little bit bigger than what a dog like this should be.
Yeah, he's a big one, but more curious. Dutch starts looking around, trying to figure out what the hell this thing's making all the racket for.
And as you kind of doing your double take, you notice that sitting right next to him appears to be an aluminum can, closed, and appears to be feasting on a meal of a rabbit.
Some bitch. Okay. Give that one to you, boy. Well, I'm just happy to end up getting the meal good enough, I guess. Starts just give the dog his space. Starts walking in the woods, time to end up getting back. Don't want to be caught out too late. Early morning, 4:30 in the morning comes early. He's already past his bedtime. Usually at this point, he already passed out in a freaking hammock. And Dutch starts to make his way back into the woods after finding a simple investigation. Some kind of city dog riling up the locals.
Gonna let's see if I'm gonna see if he specifically noticed anything. Probably about to go 4. Turn around so you don't notice. Head gets up. You hear a little bit of rustling behind you, but no, it can't be anything but like wind and leaves shifting. So you just continue moving. But like kind of takes a moment, sniffs a little bit, listens. And by this time, he's only gotten a few bites out of his rabbit. He kind of gets up, grabs his can in his mouth, looks at the rabbit, kind of sighs, whimpers a little bit. Then he thinks to himself, something else will be hungry. And begins trailing after the sound, the source of the sound, this odd smell, well, half odd smell, familiar with gunpowder. Man, it begins tailing.
At this point, Dutch is walking along the road, probably not more than maybe an hour away from the abode. The walking will do him some good. He's been running low on exercise, sitting down too long. He's already a large man as it is, width-wise. He doesn't need to end up adding to that problem by compounding it with further beer and sitting around doing nothing. Does enough of that while he's fishing. Ends up here, me continuing down the road. And I will make this a perception roll, but I'm going to increase the difficulty. He's not actively looking for something. It's more just if he notices. So 7s. Yeah, he kind of stops after a minute. He kind
of. Oh yeah. Oh wait. So your difficulty was above 6, right?
Yeah, I put it up to 7 just because he's not actively looking for something. It's just, does he notice?
You don't see anything. Like if you look behind, you don't see anyone or anything following you, but you do kind of get this odd sense. You kind of can't explain it. Like, the trees have eyes kind of thing.
Yeah. Dutch is going to kind of feel a little bit uneasy, and he just, at that point, kind of takes a minute, stops. Anybody there?
You don't hear any response. Mutt continues kind of listening in. Thinks to himself. Remembers the beer in his mouth. And while Dutch is looking to the left, Mutt goes around to his right side. And when you finally look to your right side, you see a dog or wolf sitting on his haunches, the beer in his mouth, kind of looking at you, head cocked.
Wouldn't happen to be one of the ones out of his case, would it?
No. The writing on the can, it's light enough that, there's moonlight, crescent moon. It's a pretty clear night. What you can see of the writing, it's not in English.
What the hell you got? Oh, where the hell you come from?
Head cocked the other way. Curious look on his face, like,
what you got in your mouth, boy?
Sets the can down, and let's see if I can actually do this. Dex performance ought to work for this. Let's see if he pulls it off or fucking flubs it. Yeah, I flubbed. You see him sit it down, and then he kind of like tries to grab it with the tip of his muzzle, kind of toss it slightly up in the air a little bit to catch it, but it comes slamming down. He just kind of shakes his head.
I better not have been full.
He picks it up in his mouth, and you hear the sound of the can puncturing, and then you hear canine clubbing. As he shotguns the beer in record time.
Okay. Dutch at this point stops, thinks about it, and walks over to the side of the road. He at this point sits his ass down with his feet in the ditch, puts the beer down, cracks open cracks open the cardboard casing, grabs one of the cans, cracks it open. Kind of looks at the dog. Okay.
He finishes chugging his beer, kind of shifts in his mouth a little bit, walks over to where Dutch is sitting, just kind of sits on his haunches, sets the can down, and then just kind of nudges it with his muzzle toward Dutch, and then kind of cocks his head as he moves it closer to him with that same question.
You see that first beer just got shotgunned in response. Now, Dutch's thinking, and he's coming to a conclusion here. Either this thing is one of what do you call him, Garu, or he is about to serve a dog alcohol. Thinks about this for a minute. You wouldn't happen to be the one that was doing all the howling earlier, would you?
See his shoulders shrug, and his head kind of lowers.
Yeah, he's going to be a little bit embarrassed on this one. He kind of just puts the beer down.
As soon as you do that, Mutt, with his tail, which is actually quite rather strong for a scrawny-looking mutt like he is, you feel his tail kind of whip your arm, and then when you look at him, he's like, he's trying to cover his ears with his paws, with his head down.
Grabs another beer, places it right in front of the dog. All right, let's just see what the hell happens.
Closed beer or open beer?
Closed beer.
He looks at it for a little bit, picks it up, top of the cannon's muzzle, sets it down closer to where he's sitting, and just kind of leave it sit there for a moment. And doesn't drink it. You kind of turn your head, maybe to the other side. Maybe you're looking around going, candid camera anyone? Fuck. And you hear, hey, buddy, thank you for the drink.
He's busy grabbing himself another beer, and as soon as he cracks it, he's about to sip on it and then stops hearing and kind of looks over to his side.
He's just sitting there. The beer's sitting in front of him. And he just kind of nods his head like this to the side.
You're welcome. I believe he kind of just may notice that his hand isn't quite shaking, but it kind of grips his beer a little tighter at this point.
As soon as you take a drink, you hear the voice again. Who do you think you're talking to, buddy? Trying to get he's like the voice came out of nowhere right when you were taking a sip, so maybe the voice was trying to get you to do something. Like,
no, Dutch is not actually at that point, but that's mostly on the head just because of the amount of shit that he has seen in these 3 days. This is as close to normal as shit has gotten. He is sitting there with his feet in the ditch, facing the water, drinking a beer, and there's some random dog at his side. The fact that the dog's speaking is now just a whole new thing. Kind of sits for a minute, and he kind of just reaches over and cracks the beer open for the dog.
As soon as you crack the beer open, as soon as you lean over to crack the beer open, you're kind of just doing it blindly because the fuck, you've done this a million times. Here, hey, you might want to watch where your hand is. And when you look over, you don't see a dog. You see a rather rancid-smelling homeless man.
Pardon me, I'm going to need a little bit more.
I don't know. I think maybe you've had enough. He picks up the beer. Thank you for cracking it, though. But you think you were talking to a dog. Oh, well. He just goes... The hell is this shit? He's looking at the can.
The king of beers.
Oh. Definitely not what I've been drinking for years.
Well,
Crushes
no
the
loss, I guess.
And you see him place the crushed can into one of what looks like several pockets in a trench coat. And then he picks up the other can from earlier with the canine marks in it, picks that up, crushes it down, puts that into a pocket.
All right.
What you do notice is that same shiny object around the dog's neck is around this man's neck.
All right. So, assuming that I am not on the deep end, I have had the misfortune of running into kind of looks educated guess. What was it? Bonegnawer, bone skeleton, something along those lines.
Bonegnawer?
That's the one.
Well, suppose you're not entirely ignorant. It means somebody's found you.
Yeah, well, that's... how about instead we end up stopping appropriate introductions without smelling each other's ass?
Who's to say I haven't already done that, buddy?
To be fair, I'm not sure that any of your locations are worse than the other.
People
they call me Dutch.
People call me Mutt or Ed. Sometimes they say I'm crazy, but to each their own.
Well, to be fair, Ed, I've experienced in the past 3 days shit that has convinced me that I might be crazy. And if that is the case, then most definitely you are a figment of my imagination, and I am probably foaming at the mouth in my boat somewhere. However, assuming that is not the case, and that I have not completely lost my mind, and that shit is going down exactly as I perceive it, well, the long road then. Any place you heading?
Have you eaten anything tonight?
I haven't done much tracking just yet. I've had a place to stay for the past little bit. Got to get out more before skills start getting rusty.
No, I mean, have you had food tonight?
Thinks about it for a minute. No, this walk has pretty much taken up the later part of his afternoon and just cutting into his evening right now. No, can't say as I have.
As you say that, he kind of gets up, and you got another beer on you.
Got 9.
Good. I'll just take one of those. And you see him grab a beer right off the 6-pack, and then you see him reach into a messenger bag, a rather beat up, ratty messenger bag. He kind of rummages through, and he pulls out.
The fuck are you doing? You do not end up just stealing in a man's can. At least you can end up doing this in the basket afterwards.
It's not stealing. Well, I was going to pay for it eventually.
Dutch kind of just
He continues.
just stands up.
He rummages through and he pulls out what looks like a camping pot. About like this little thing. And he makes a clearing, brushes leaves out of the way, and you see him, human form, you see him scratch around in the dirt really quickly, and he actually effectively does it with hands just as well as a dog would scratch in dirt, and he makes a hole. He pulls out a couple bits of old newspaper, a few twigs, old Bic lighter, and you see him kind of arrange it like a campfire. Takes a couple, like 3 sticks, makes a triangle formation, has what looks like an old fishing hook that he ties to the top of the inside of the sticks, and you see him hang the pot from the handle as he's trying to get the lighter to work. Eventually puts that back in his pocket, pulls out another lighter. This time it catches, and then you see him start rummaging through other pockets of his. See him pull out a rat, what looks like a half-eaten cheeseburger. Sets pours part of the beer in the in the pot, just kind of flavor, and picks up some leaves, kind of like you sprinkle oregano, and takes the rat, just kind of tears it apart a bit, or cuts it up, pulls a knife out, kind of cuts it up a little bit, drops it in the pot, adds all the other ingredients. Then he takes out out of his messenger bag. He takes out a what looks like a wooden spoon handle, and stirs it up.
He just has this look on his face. The fuck are you doing?
Said he hadn't eaten.
I'm not going to argue with that.
So?
But that is not how you prepare an animal. That is not how you properly butcher an. I'm going to make an assumption here. Large assumption.
Just like the dog cocked his head, you see Ed cock his head in confusion.
All right. We're going to try it your way. We're going to try it your way for now. If we at some other point end up here doing gathering, I will show you how to end up preparing these things in a little bit more of a proper manner.
Yeah.
There's particular things that kind of help. For instance, skinning the animal is usually preferable. This way you do not have the bits of rat hair floating at the top at the surface. And usually, the seasonings are chosen from something other than what is immediately on the ground. Just my experience personally, but
And then lose all the flavor? What's the point of eating an animal if you're just gonna throw away the good parts?
Dutch seems confused at first, but is just getting to this point where he's just accepting every time he's questioned that it's just something he doesn't know about yet.
And oh yeah, he definitely whips up a concoction that, well, I guess his stepmother would be proud of. And he's at it for good 45 minutes to an hour. Makes idle chit chat. Where am I headed? Well, I recently got back into the area. It's been a lot of
And
odd.
do you have any idea where you are?
Well, it's not New York. Otherwise, it would be
No.
familiar, and I might run into Mom.
Okay. I understand you are horribly misplaced at this current juncture. I understand your situation. But tell you what, there's a particular group that's not far by. I believe the appropriate thing is to introduce yourself, and I'm going to assume that's what I heard when I first ran into you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
A greeting howl, an announcement howl is basically what that was.
All right.
You'd be right.
All right. Now, if I understand that situation, then you still introduced yourself around. Came in a long way. You missed your boat to New York.
No,
Now you.
boat I was on was not going to New York. Found out later on, halfway through the trip. Took about 2 weeks from, I don't know, somewhere in France, I think. I know.
You're from the other side of the pond.
Not originally. I traveled.
Okay. Okay, I think I understand.
I
I've been saying that a
travel
lot lately.
back, but
Okay.
some years back we were separated, kind of drifted apart.
I'm most unfortunate to end up hearing that, Ed. But just to fill you in on a little bit that I understand, I'm going to, if we end up going down the road a bit, about give it a little bit less than an hour's walk. There is a gathering, what would you call this place? It's kind of holy ground. But if you go into the other side, you can see it for all its splendor. What?
There's a cairn?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. And for as awkward as. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Mutt kind of cuts himself off and just kind of waits, stirring his stew.
Yeah, Karen. There's
See,
down the road.
cock again. Kind of curious.
I'm not sure on how if this is responding at all to Ed. The amount of ignorance that Dutch has, it's pretty clear he's still piecing shit together, and I think he is actually older than Ed in appearance, as I understand this.
The dog. Well, there was no gray patches of fur. Not like an old dog, but he's definitely a mature dog. I mean, there are signs that he's at least older than 3, from what you can tell.
Yeah. All right. And just on the assumption that they don't end up expelling you from the property, from the premises, I think they would be most pleased to end up meeting you and making your acquaintance.
Oh, I should hope so. I've proven myself over and over and over again.
I don't know anybody at this point, Ed, so I can't make any vouchers or understanding in those particular situations. I'm still figuring it out for myself.
You said something about other side.
Yeah, other side.
Oh,
Spirit world. I think that's what they call it. With all these fancy terms, that seemed to be a fairly simple way to put it, but appreciate it when they do that. Makes things a little less complicated for me.
kind of crude, but spirit world, Umbra.
What would you call it?
Umbra. When he says it, he
Umbra.
says it clearly, but he says it with hesitation, like he's not quite sure if he's speaking correctly. And his words aren't exactly like clear. There's kind of an odd, ignorant accent behind every word that he speaks. Like he's not used to speaking.
Appreciate you correcting me on that issue, Ed. So, as soon as we are done having our meal,
Oh, I just got finished. Amazing how time flies. It does not smell by any stretch of the imagination appealing, but if you do actually taste it, it doesn't taste horrible. It actually tastes better than it smells.
you notice that Butch is pulling out what seems to be like a large Bowie knife out of his back and kind of sticks it in a chunk of meat in the stew, actually pushing it down enough to get it down to the bottom of the pot.
Crunch.
Pulls it up.
Rat
Yeah.
head.
Pulls it out.
When you pull the rat head out, you see this look on Ed's face like kind of like you just pulled a wishbone from a bird. And he looks at you expectantly.
Appreciate this gift that we are about to receive. Okay.
Yep, that's a rat head.
He kind of holds it. He's just kind of peeling the meat out of it. Like this part isn't at all disgusting to him. I've spent more than his fair time peeling apart animals, and he kind of peels underneath.
It has an odd flavor of Budweiser and oak with something you can't quite put your finger on, but then again, do you really want to ask?
That is gray matter. Pulls out the tongue. You notice, like this is This is probably from Ed. This might actually be fairly calming because he's peeling apart all these pieces of the thing, and the only thing he's not actually eating is the skin. Yeah, he's peeling all the meat out from under its face, under its jaw, throat, tongue, brains. Even if he can, he kind of peels out the eyes. And he takes the skin, kind of places it back in the bowl. Don't want to lose flavor. kind of holds the rat's, well, at this point, completely disfigured head, where most of it's bone with a little bit of flesh on it, something that he just hasn't suckled off at this point, and drops it in like a soup bone again.
Ed stirs it around a little bit, kind of using his wooden spoon. Oh yeah. I actually got my fill tonight, but he takes the spoon out and carefully pulls up the pot and he hands it to you and says, "Finish it off. Gotta eat."
Kind of thinks about this for a minute. What he is about. Yeah. He kind of holds on to it very, very carefully. He can definitely feel this warmth through the gloves. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to make this quick. And doesn't taste that bad, but he is as he's sipping it down. He has to stop. Hairball.
You're not a Bonegnawer. Although, I guess I'd have the same thing, wouldn't I?
No.
God. Hey.
That's why I skin him.
It's nourishing, and it'll put hair on your chest.
If I could avoid putting further hair on my chest, I would be most delighted. You have to understand, since I've been 17 years old, that stuff has been making a tactical withdrawal from the top, from the high ground, and is currently here, hiding in the caves.
Yeah.
He kind of empties the.
You're definitely you're not an outroad. And this word confuses the fuck out of you.
Yeah, it does. And I what?
God damn, you're fresh. Jesus. You can't be more than a cub.
At that point, Dutch's demeanor takes a very serious tone, and he kind of shoves the pot into Mutt's chest. I appreciate the meal. Grabs hold of the beer and stands up a bit. Now, if you would care to follow along, as it is not my position to end up here, whether you stay or go, I will gladly end up here dragging you along to end up finding somebody who does have such an authority.
Well, I would be appreciated. Where is this city in relation to New York? As Mutt sets the pot down, puts the spoon in it, and he kind of searches through his pockets and his messenger bag, pulls out a half-full bottle of water, just kind of outs the fire, and then breaks down everything, takes the fish hook, and kind of just loops it through the material bag. Looks like he's covering up everything, gathering up his stuff and placing it in his bag.
Well, to put this into perspective, you have and if I recall, let me just double check the map when it comes down to Boston. Holy shit. So if Boston's there, you're a long ways away from home, friend.
Am I north or south?
And I know this one. I know this one. Why are you testing me on American geography to a country I don't live in?
It would be south.
Yeah. Okay. You are significantly farther north than you have expected, friend.
I'm not north of New York, am I?
Yeah. In fact, if you would have ended up going up the coast significantly further, you would have ended up in the wrong country.
Oh, well. Eventually, I'll get back home. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, it ain't winter yet. And if you're going to end up here doing that kind of hike, you might want to end up talking to somebody who knows the lay of the land.
I just need to know where I'm at, and I'm good to go. You see,
Well,
see,
you currently
revert to his like from a man to a dog, and you see all of his clothes and his what little he has anyway, just kind of absorbs into his skin, and it's like fur, covers it up.
All right. If that's the case, we've got a bit of a walk to end up going. So do you, Ed. Guess I'll end up saying, welcome to New Sarum.
He oh, and kind of looks around. Looks like he's looking for something deliberate. He kind of looks back at you, looks at the beer can intently. Can't really. Do you have any animal, Ken?
I do not believe I do. No, I do not.
You do not?
No, he's used to killing animals, not to making friends with them.
It'd be difficult.
In fact, most animals actually either run or try to kill him on sight.
Difficulty 8. Intelligence.
I cannot believe that has just happened.
Holy shit. You actually, like, he's looking at the can. He appears to be eyeing the can specifically. And when you look at it, it's almost like, is he trying to see if it's shiny? Maybe. Yeah. It's like he's trying to see how shiny the can is.
I'm going to end the scene on this note. Kind of reaches into the box filled with cans, grabs one, pulls it out. Why do I know this is a waste of a perfectly good beer? Fetch Mutt! And he just hucks that can down the road as far as he can.
Mutt doesn't chase the beer, but he kind of looks around, and you see him kind of look down at the object around his neck. And within a few moments, you kind of feel his tail kind of, as much as it can, half wrap around your leg. make contact with it, and you're not in the same forest that you were in.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Oh yeah, definitely. And he begins walking as though he knows the lay of this land. And he kind of looks back at you questioningly.
I think we should just end it on that note.
And the two begin walking in the undergrowth.